Welcome everyone to this August 12th edition of What's Happening in Crypto with the Crypto Lark, broadcasting to you from New Zealand and bringing you all of the latest from the crypto world and beyond. Today's top stories: Bitcoin dies yet again, think like a billionaire, and the Turkish Lira takes a beating. Bitcoin $6,301, down 10% in the last 7 days. Even though Bitcoin has been taking a real beating over the last 7 days, it compares nothing to the altcoin markets. Altcoins seeing lows that we never thought we'd potentially even see again are happening. Many of the key altcoins, which are very promising projects, are down big time. And this is whether you look at the dollar valuation or at the Bitcoin valuation. And yes, one Bitcoin is still worth one Bitcoin, which is fantastic news. But if you are using your Bitcoin to accumulate more Bitcoin by investing in altcoins, well, it is a rough week to be doing that, as really popular altcoins like IOTA down nearly 35%, just as one of many examples. And that has led people like this bearish technical analyst to say that the game is over for Bitcoin. Now, Jeff DeGroff is actually a Wall Street long-termer, we could say. Definitely somebody who comes from that traditional background, and a lot of people in that circle have been gunning for the death of Bitcoin for a long time. And Bitcoin has been pronounced dead so many times, I can't believe people are still saying it. Here is a great one from August 9th, 2011. There's no denying the rise of Bitcoin has been as amusing as it has been interesting, but the honeymoon is over and Bitcoin is falling fast, having gone down from $32 all the way down to $7. God, I wish I could buy some $7 Bitcoin. That'd be amazing. Bitcoin is dead. This is a 2014 article. Again, going on about blah, 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 Bitcoin. Don't really understand this stuff. It's a big scam, etc., etc., etc. Coming off the final. The speculators may not realize it yet, but you can stick a fork in Bitcoin. It's done. And again, Bitcoin is pronounced dead once again. It's interesting how they don't pronounce gold dead when it falls in price, as an example. But obviously, gold is not a threat to established power, whereas Bitcoin actually is a threat. Bitcoin dominance has increased to over 50% in the first time since December. Again, we can really see that happening in the markets where so many very promising altcoin projects, again, are getting absolutely devastated. But Bitcoin is, for the crypto markets at the time anyway, holding relatively strong. Now, who buys Bitcoin? 41% of Americans say they won't ever invest in cryptocurrencies. Where do they get these polls from? I always have to wonder. But the more interesting side of that poll is that 50% of Americans are willing to try out Bitcoin. Again, take a look at the media focus. One says 41% won't ever invest in cryptocurrencies. That sounds really damning. But the flip side, 50% of Americans are willing to try out Bitcoin. It's all a question of perspective when it comes to interpreting these numbers that are seemingly pulled out of people's butts. And the reality is that Bitcoin has not lost investor interest, even though the Google trends are down in terms of searches, and that most searches for Bitcoin these days are, why is Bitcoin falling? And when will Bitcoin be at its bottom, and when will Bitcoin go back up? Obviously, the price action is a very key indicator of interest when it comes to Bitcoin, but a lot of people still know about it and are interested at least to try it out, even if they haven't invested in it yet. And this brings us to billionaires. Every portfolio should have crypto. This is the method used by billionaire investors, says Yale economist. This is going on to talk about how you could put in, for example, 6% of your portfolio into cryptocurrency, particularly into Bitcoin, should you believe that it will once again reach its all-time high prices. If you think it will only get to half of that, then maybe put in 4% of your investment. You could even put in as low as 1% of your total investing into Bitcoin. The interesting thing I take away from an article like this is think like a billionaire. I know the total quantity may be different. If you're working a 9-to-5 job, you don't have the money that a billionaire has, but the percentages are the same. And if a billionaire is going to double their money by investing in Bitcoin, well, you can double your $100 or your $1,000 by investing into Bitcoin as well. And the reality is that high net worth individuals have not stopped investing in Bitcoin during these markets. They are the ones buying right now. They are the ones that understand you have to think counterintuitively. When the rest of the herd is panicking and selling, the billionaires, the multimillionaires, the savvy investors are on the other side of the computer buying that Bitcoin that is being sold by panic selling investors. Crypto mining giant Bitmain on target for $10 billion in revenue this year. Damn, Bitmain, that is a lot of money. Now, Bitmain also having their IPO, $18 billion, making it one of the world's largest IPOs, giving it a valuation of around $50 billion. Again, think like a billionaire. They would not be able to successfully raise that much in an IPO if people did not look at cryptocurrencies and realize that this market's just getting started. These billionaires, multimillionaires, largely are not that dumb. They understand a thing or two about finance, and when they're investing in the Bitmain IPO or when they're adding Bitcoin to their portfolios, they're doing it for a reason, and they're doing it now. Coincast TV, Sky News launching a new program about blockchain and crypto will also be syndicated over on Apple TV. Nice actually to see more mainstream focus coming into crypto in terms of another TV show. That's definitely good. Hopefully it will be a bit better than CNBC Africa in terms of its being objective, for example. Investors turn to Bitcoin in Turkey as the lira value slips. Turkey right now caught up in a trade war with the United States. Their economy has been taking a hit for quite a while. The steel and aluminum tariffs that the United States is putting on is really the nail in the coffin, sending speculators into, again, a state of fear over the Turkish lira, losing 17% of its value on Friday, actually outperforming Bitcoin in its losses. And I know a lot of people out there saying, say, look, fiat currencies can do worse than Bitcoin can do. Well, the Turkish lira had been relatively speaking, doing okay until that point. But the trade war is definitely something that is looming globally. We could see this playing out in many different economies around the world as the US does use its purchasing power to get what it wants in other countries. And that's going to be against Turkey, that's going to be against the EU, that's going to be against China. People might start looking to Bitcoin, ironically, as a hedge for uncertain economic times, as fiat currencies, particularly in the named countries, may not stand up as well in times of a global trade war. Fascinating indeed. And final story of the day, Brazilian presidential hopeful sees no obstacles for legalizing Bitcoin. On the one hand, it's very exciting to see a high-level politician talking about, yes, we can legalize Bitcoin for our country, and obviously, if Bitcoin was to get legalized in Brazil, that would be freaking massive and really, really exciting for Brazil and for South America as a whole, not to mention for global adoption of cryptocurrencies. However, This candidate is one of the least likely to win, so don't hold your hopes that Brazil will be legalizing Bitcoin anytime in the near future, but we can always dream, can't we? Thanks so much for watching today's episode. Let me know what you think about any of the news stories down below in the comments section. Thumbs up the video and share these videos around the internet to help our community grow. Join the conversation over on Twitter. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.